Hey, what's up? I'm Dante Spencer. I am a male model, commercial actor, comedian sometimes, and I'm currently a PhD student. I'm going to achieve my PhD in depth psychology, and I also have a book. I used to be a nutritionist. I wrote a book. It's called How to Lose Weight in Your Sleep, and it's available on Amazon and iTunes and all those cool places. I'm making this Can I Be Vulnerable video. Can I? Part of my big story. We all have our story, right? Is that my father's African American and my mother is very white. My mom's a redhead, so she like watered down my blackness to undetectable levels. So I grew up in Orange County. Okay, first of all, so yeah, the story for me was that my parents were together in the 60s. So at that time, you have a black man and a white woman. That's just like, even in the South, it was like illegal for them to even marry. Right. But in California it was, but it was obviously very frowned upon. Yeah. My parents couldn't even eat at certain restaurants because they were together. So my mom kind of fought to be together with my dad. My parents grew up in Ventura. They went to school in Ventura. Mixed couples wasn't obviously a thing in the 60s. Mm-hmm. But they were together. My mom fought to be together. My grandfather, my mom's dad, was very racist. Mm-hmm. And he tried to kill my dad twice. Oh, shit. Because he did not want his white daughter with the black man, obviously. So when they got married, my mom and my grandfather did not talk, had nothing to do with each other. And then my parents had my sister, who's 4 years older than me, and then they had me, and then the relationships didn't work out, and then they split up. And the weird thing is that my sister looks mixed. She looks more mixed. Mm-hmm. So then my mom got with my stepdad, who's a white dude, and then we moved to Orange County, and that's kind of when it all started because, like you said, Orange County is not a mixed, type of a place. It's middle upper class, suburban, white, Republican, right? And it's not so much that they're racist, but it's like there's no mix.
Yeah, it's like we'd just rather keep us here. We don't have against y'all like that, but we'd just rather us be here.
Like I never saw black kids get teased, but I saw mixed kids get teased.
You know, that makes sense.
And so it was it was this secret that I hid my whole life, right. And I got away with it because I looked white, you know. And my stepdad was kind of tan, so it was just like, oh, that's my dad, Right. It was just easier. And I remember when we would see my real dad, we would, when he would drop us off in the white neighborhood, I would get all insecure. I remember sitting down in my seat in the back of the car, so the neighborhood kids, the white kids, would see that this black man is dropping off us, mm-hmm. And so it was like part of this thing that we just. It's not that we weren't proud, we just didn't want to get teased. I get that. We didn't want to get ridiculed. And my sister did get teased because she did look mixed. Right. So she had a rough time, She had issues with suicide and had to go to a lot of therapy because of that. A lot of that had to do with my grandfather, the white racist dude, who used to take off my sister off to the side and said, "You're nothing but a little nigger, you never amount to nothing." Wow. Didn't do that to me because I looked more white. You passed. Yeah, so it was just a weird dynamic because that was the time when my grandfather started talking to my mom again because she divorced my dad. But he didn't accept my sister who looked mixed, but accepted me because I looked at this. Oh yeah, same parents. Yeah. So I think there was always a guilty conscience too for me because I looked white and could pass for white, but my sister had a harder time with it. She got teased for that, and so I kind of felt a little guilty because my sister had a harder time growing up.
Than you did.
Than I did. And
she's older too, but you still will want to protect, but you're younger, what do you... Yeah. It's a very hard dynamic to try to navigate through.
It definitely was. And then it was like this secret that I never told anyone. And then I remember in high school, towards the end of high school, I was like, you know what, I'm proud of being black. I'm proud of being that my dad's black. So I want to start telling people. Right. And as soon as I started telling people, no one believed me. They're like, "Oh yeah, sure, man. Sure, you just want to be black." You just wish you were black.
Right.
Like, no, my dad's like, your dad ain't black.
Right.
And I was like, oh man, like so much I was trying to hide. Now no one believes me. It's just, it was a weird thing, and then I have to prove.
Oh, how was the relationship with you and your father like when y'all would hang out? How would he handle?
See, the interesting thing is that I would see my dad, like normal dad on the weekends, and I think my dad understood. He didn't want to mess us up as kids. So he didn't go to a lot of the sports games because I know he wanted to stay away. All of a sudden, like you see this black man on the sidelines, there's no black kids, and it's like, who's that? And then they'll start teasing me. So he came to a few games and kind of kept
in the back.
Kept. I think he understood, and but it was interesting having for me having a dad who was black. Right, it's that as a boy you. That's your father. That's your biological father, but he doesn't look like me. Society doesn't accept him like me, or doesn't accept me as a black guy like him.
Right.
And it was just a weird thing. And I remember there were times where I wanted my hair to be like my dad. He had an afro, and I would put like his afro sheen into my hair, and it just like made it even more straighter. You know what I mean? So, but the interesting thing is that my dad was like. I feel like my dad was like the cliche black dude, man. Cool as heck. Could dance, could sing.
Yeah.
Was great at sports. Was funny. It's like every category he checked off, and I always felt less than because I never was as good as an athlete as my dad. I never was as funny as my dad. I never could dance as good as my dad. I never could sing as good as my dad. It's like all these things that it's just like I just felt short. I was half of what my dad was.
Right.
And for me, I mean, and a lot of other white people is that all my heroes were black. It's a weird dynamic. Especially as an athlete, like all my heroes were black. The best singers, the best dancers, the best comedians, the best athletes were all black. So all my heroes were black guys. My dad was black.
Right.
So I felt like this nerdy white kid in comparison to my dad.
Right.
And I could never live up to that. That's how I always felt.
Right.
And so I remember anytime I'd have a girlfriend, if she like had dated a black guy or liked, then I always like, I'm out. What can I can't even compete.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's always been that like I've always felt a little bit less than because of the fact that I'm not full black and that people don't see me as black. And it's interesting for me because I'm mixed, but I don't look like a mixed guy. I have friends that are mixed, but you can tell, he's mixed.
Yeah, you can tell.
Light skin.
Hair's a little thicker.
Yeah, and me, it's like you can't. So it's like nobody believes me. I always got to have my dad's picture like on my phone right.
Your black card is dad's picture.
You ain't black. Oh yeah. It's interesting. We talk about vulnerability. I was a little insecure because I wanted to cut my hair shorter today so I look more black. And I was like, damn, I look like some like skanky ass white dude on camera because my hair is not cut short.
You know what's funny though, in talking to like about that, like because of what you're talking about with this, and your hair isn't shaved lower. For me, looking at it aesthetically, I'm like, it hits differently than that. You know what I'm saying?
What do you mean?
Just because, like, you have your hair is your hair, and you wanted to shave it, but you didn't, and you're talking about being black, but your hair looks like some buzz cut white dude.
Yeah, and I remember I was gonna take my hair down shorter, which I like it.
Which you normally do anyway.
I normally do, and it's just time.
Yeah.
And I didn't, and I was like, you know what? Maybe that's something I'm gonna talk about being vulnerable because I feel insecure that my hair is white.
Right.
I feel insecure about that, so I didn't want to shave it down and then be vulnerable. You know what I mean? Like that's I was like, you know what? That's me right now.
Yeah.
Because my grandfather was racist. My dad, my mom's dad was racist, and then my grandma told me this, and she regretted telling me afterwards. My white grandma told me that when she was a little girl, her father died when she was like a teenager. So when she was like a teenager, her father died. And no, her grandfather died. I'm sorry. When my white grandmother was a little girl, her grandfather died. And you go to the house to go through the things of the person who passed. And so my grandmother was going through her grandfather's stuff. She was going through his closet because he had passed. And she pulls out this bag and pulls out this white robe and shit.
Oh, shit.
And then her aunt was there. So her dad's sister was there. And she goes, oh, that was your grandfather's, and it was a KKK outfit.
Right, yeah.
That was your grandfather's. He was a part of that when he was younger, but he wasn't proud of it, and he stopped doing it, wasn't proud of it. And I remember I was thinking then, when she told me that, if he wasn't proud of it, why did he keep the outfit, man?
Yeah, like...
In case the band got back together? You know what I mean?
Might be a reunion tour.
What is this? Yeah. So it's like not only is the white side white, but on the history of it is there's some KKK influence, right. And then on the other side is black, and you know, my grandmother on the black side, you know, she traces back to the plantations, slave plantations in Oklahoma, you know, and so my last name is Spencer, you know, and I know that's the black side, so that Spencer, that's English. Well, that was the English settlers that came over and had slaves, and for me, I've always been interested in this, and so then my name was given to us because we were slaves for ownership. So Spencer is, and then I go, oh, that's why Malcolm X changed his name to X. You know, because of that, he didn't want the slave name. So for me, it's always been a weird thing. And then even, you know, most African Americans, they have some sort of Anglo-Saxon or white on that side.
Right.
So my grandmother, on the black side, her great grandfather was this German white dude, and he tried to marry a slave. I think was it late 1800s, you weren't allowed to marry, and so he had to leave the state to marry this woman who, when she was a girl, she was a slave, and so you have this white German guy, and so they said you couldn't marry. Forget the state and the regulations. They said you couldn't marry unless you say that you're black. So my grandma always told me the story that he put down that he was a Negro, so he could marry his black wife.
Huh.
And so I always thought that's kind of like, I don't know about if that's true. Well, when I was getting my master's degree, we had to do this family tree. And so I had to trace that back. And I went back and I traced back that German guy, and I saw the census. It was like an 1890 census. He was head of household, and he said he was a Negro.
Oh, shit.
So he did really put down, just so he could marry his love.
Right. Put
down that, then call me, then I'll put down that I'm a Negro.
Right.
Because I'm gonna marry her, and you can't say that I can't. So I'm black then.
Right.
And so that's where that whiteness started. So this like heroic German guy who's like, I'm gonna marry, I don't care what she is. Put down that I'm black.
Right.
And then 1800s.
Right.
What a great aspect of this white guy going against all odds to marry, you know, this black woman who was a slave, and then on the other white side you have this KKK man. So I've got this family history of this whatever, you know. And so then, you know, they had mixed kids, and then all the black, and then it was all black from there.
Right.
But there, you know, back in the day there was that German influence on the black side. So it's just, I feel like I have this rich family history.
You really do.
Like, that's all over the place, and that's like flowing through my veins.
Right.
Like these feelings.
Right.
You know, these deep archetype feelings of like of black and white. You know, and
yeah, that's wild.
And just, I don't know, being outside of it, just looking in and
product of it.
Yeah, product of it. I'm observing it. I'm feeling it.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, I'm confused. I guess as men, we are taught to be strong and to not show emotion. I think that's a common thing with males, and I think that there is an insecurity to think that we can't be strong if we show our vulnerability, if we show our feelings, and that may be construed as weakness. So I guess I want to leave with is that if you're being honest and you're being open and you're showing how you feel inside, if you're being vulnerable, if you're showing that you can be emotional, I think that, and you're a strong man, then I think that shows even greater strength.